This video was commissioned by my Gold Fluffbutt patron, Drew Lazinski. Do you want to commission your very own video? Then become a Gold patron today. Path to Peace, an MLP G5 fanfiction, sequel to In the Dark of the Night, written by Flame Warrior 02. Chapter 1. The Nightmares Are Real. For some, night is seen as a time for sleep, to rest the body after a long day. For others, it is actually when they are the most active. But there are those who fear the night and the darkness it brings. In the dark, one cannot see. That leaves them vulnerable and without control. And ponies fear what they are unable to control. And in the Crystal Bright House, a prime example of that right now was occurring with Zipp Storm. Oh no, my baby. Oh, I hope she's not having any nightmares. She's safe with me. The Pegasus princess was tossing and turning in her bed as her dream played in her head. A dream that was also her worst nightmare. Oh, this should be interesting. In the dream, Zipp found herself slowly approaching the Zephyr Heights Royal Palace. However, if the guards stationed outside front were any indication, this was not a friendly visit. The guards lowered their spears at the advancing mare, but Zipp didn't stop. "Charge!" Zoom yelled as she and the rest immediately went in for the attack. But Zipp just smiled wickedly and unfurled her wing, the tip of her feathers covered with blades, before she swiped them at those in her way. What the fuck is this nightmare? Her wings actually being blades and such. Well, they do have like the shape of them, so imagine if you could just attach like knives to every single feather. That would be dangerous. The guards all fell to the ground and didn't get up, leaving the way to the main doors open for the Pegasus. The doors to the throne room swung open, startling the queen and princess on the throne as Zipp walked in dramatically. "Zipharina!" Queen Haven gasped at the sudden intrusion of her eldest daughter. "What is the meaning of this?" she demanded. Zipp chuckled darkly. "You mean you haven't realized? Well, let me be the first to congratulate you, mother. You get to retire from being queen. You don't have to be so sassy about that when you're being a literal murderer, Zipp." Her mother was not surprised by this declaration, but still looked at her daughter with defiance. "If you think that after everything you've done to countless innocent ponies that I'll hand over the throne of Zephyr Heights to you, young filly, then you are seriously mistaken," she shouted at Zipp with flared wings. Zipp just chuckled at Queen Haven's resistance. "Oh, I don't know about that," she said in response, looking straight at her mother's eyes. She pawed her forelegs, and it was revealed there were blades attached there as well. Oh my god, she is covered with blades now, even on her hoofs. She might as well just be considered Zipp Scissor hoofs. She pawed her forelegs, and it was revealed there were blades attached there as well that extended like a cat's claws. "I can be very persuasive." Ah, no! In the bed next to Zipp's, Pip's ears twitched as the sounds of her sister's distress waking her up from her slumber. "Zipp?" Pip groggily asked as she lifted her sleep mask to see what was the matter. Looking over at her sister, the pink Pegasus saw that she was tossing and turning in her bed, mumbling in her sleep. Knowing immediately that Zipp was having another nightmare, Pip flew over to her bed to wake her up. "Zipp!" She gently shook her sister to wake her up. Seeing that it didn't work, she tried with slightly more force. "Zipp, wake up!" she urged her big sister. The response she got from Zipp was her big sister kicking her in the gut with hind legs. Oh, imagine that just kicking into your stomach. That would have been painful. Not more than the blades, but still on a kind of similar level. The force sent the smaller Pegasus crashing into her bed. The sound of the impact woke up Sunny and Izzy as the two mares were immediately on their feet. On their feet? Is this now in the Equestrian Girls universe? "What is going on?" Sunny quickly asked, looking around frantically for any signs of danger until she noticed Zipp flailing in her bed and Pip curled up on the floor in clear pain. She and Izzy were quickly at the Pink Pegasus' side. "Pip, what happened?" "It's Zipp," Pip said in pain as she quickly got back onto her hooves. "She's having another nightmare. Please help me wake her up," she told him as she tried to wake her sister awake again. "Pip, wait!" Sunny tried to warn her friend of getting too close while Zipp was kicking so much in her sleep. "She's my sister!" Pip shouted as she tried to shake Zipp awake again, only for her sister's hoof to collide directly with her face. Oh no, that's all to leave a mark. Oh! Pip! Sunny and Izzy shouted in panic before the unicorn pulled Pip away before she could be kicked again. "Izzy, let me go!" Pip struggled in the magical grasp, her face now bleeding from a broken nose. Oh, poor Pip. She's getting abused so badly in this chapter. "Not if your plan is to go back into the line of fire!" Izzy retorted. "Zipp would never hurt me!" "She's already kicked your face in and kicked you in your gut from her sleep. I think if she was properly awake, she would kill you." "Awake, yes, but right now she has no idea what's going on," Sunny told her as she could imagine what was scaring Zipp so much in her nightmare. "Zipp!" she called out in hopes of waking her up. Back in the dream, Zipp placed the crown that was formerly on her mother's onto her head. "At last, it's mine!" she said with a triumph smile and laughed evilly. You know what? I should do that with the Zipp plush. Still, her work was not done yet. There was still one pony left in the room to deal with. No, keep your hoofs off your sister! You've already done enough to her outside of your sleep! The White Pegasus didn't even need to look behind herself to know that Pip was currently trying to sneak away undetected. "And where do you think you are going?" she laughingly asked. Before Pip had time to react, she found Zipp standing directly in front of her. "Zipp!" Pip gasped as she fell onto her haunches. "You didn't think you could just leave, did you?" Zipp mockingly asked, laughing at her sister's fear. God, this is torture for me right now, but I love it so much. "Zipp, please!" Pip begged. "We're family! We're sisters!" "Sisters?" Pip gave a crude laugh. "You think that after everything that's happened to you, have any right to call me that?" she asked as her anger started to grow. I don't understand." Pip shuddered out in her fear. Zipp gave another cruel laugh. "Ha ha ha! That's to be expected. You're just the same as the rest of these ingrates." "Wow! Okay, now that was crude." She growled. "I've been spending years trying to better the lives of every pony, trying to return flight to the Pegasi, to try and keep magic from disappearing again, to find a way to destroy the pony who wants it all for herself. And what did you do? You just sat there, playing the part of the perfect little princess." Without any warning, Zipp grabbed Pip by the throat and lifted her into the air. But how would that work? Because they've got hoofs after all, not fingers. She would literally be strangling Pip by... Oh my god. If Pip was against the wall when Zipp is lifting her up, God, she would be dead already. And what happens? They all flock to you. They all worship you and praise you while ignoring everything I have to say. Even our own mother gives all of her attention to you rather than give me any of the respect I deserve. My throat is going again already. She screamed before throwing the younger princess against the wall. What the fuck is going on? Okay, Zipp truly needs to wake up. Pip hit the wall hard, probably breaking her wings, and fell to the floor like a plush doll. Okay, well, let me just do the honors. Imagine Zipp as Pip right now. Oh, yep, stay down, Pip. Zipp! She choked out through the tears that were now coming down her face. "I'm so sorry! I didn't mean to—" "Shut up!" Zipp cut her off. "I don't want to hear any pathetic attempts of an apology. You don't deserve any. This is my kingdom, my destiny! And that destiny is one without you." Oh my god, this is just grim. "No!" Pip pleaded on deaf ears as Zipp raised a hoof into the air, the claws already in position. No, don't do this! Zipp! Pip screamed as the hoof came down. Oh my god. This is terrifying to even imagine, but I love it so much because I'm just a huge fan of when My Little Pony gets really dark, and it's something that it really needs to be doing nowadays, just to scare the kids, give them a good life lesson instead of all of these friendship ones. No! Zipp screamed as she finally woke up from her hellish nightmare, panting like she had just flown around the world and back. Her eyes darted around the room aimlessly. Zipp! The Pegasus was able to get some focus when she saw her friends run over to her side, having been shouting for the last minute or so to wake her up. Zipp, it's okay! You're awake now! Pip assured her big sister. Are you okay? Izzy asked. Zipp, speak to us! Sunny pleaded. As Zipp took in their words, she noticed how her sister looked. Pip's face now had what seemed to be severely bruised and a bloody nose. Zipp looked down at her own hoofs, and that's when she saw it. Blood. Her sister's blood. On her hooves. No! She quietly said as the realization of what she had done came in. Zipp! Pip tried to reach for her sister, but was stopped when Zipp slapped her hoof away. No! Pip cried as she leapt out of bed and ran down the stairs. It happened so fast that her friends barely understood what had just happened. Thankfully, it only took a few seconds for them to realize Zipp was attempting to run away again. Zipp, no! Come back! Pip cried as she flew after her, Sunny and Izzy following close behind. Despite not being able to fly herself. Oh yeah, because she shaved off her wing feathers in the dark of the night. Oh yeah, I love the continuity here. Zipp was still very fast on hoof thanks to years of parkour in the mountains around Zephyr Heights. This allowed her to have a very effective head start on her pursuers that she now heard was following her. I should have known better than to come back here! She scolded herself in her thoughts. I still can't control myself! I have to get away! Far away this time! Somewhere no pony will ever find me! It's the only way to protect Pip! She slammed open the front doors and continued on running. She didn't know where she was going to go this time. If she had to, she'd run to the other side of Equestria. The white Pegasus was so distracted by her distraught thoughts that it took her a while to notice that as she was running, she wasn't making any distance. What? Looking down, she found herself surrounded by a purple glow that was holding her in place. That's Izzy's magic, isn't it? Instantly recognizing the glow as Izzy's magic. Ah, hell yes, Izzy. Well, you gotta give Izzy some credit. She is quite a fast pony. Zipp began to struggle as she tried to free herself. No! She said through clenched teeth. Just as her friends came through the doors, she swung open. Zipp! They all shouted together as they ran over to their Pegasus friend. No! Let me go! Zipp shouted as she increased her struggling. Zipp, you need to calm down! Izzy told her. All of the Pegasus struggling against her magical hold was making it difficult for the unicorn to focus, which in turn was making it harder to keep Zipp restrained. Seeing Izzy's difficulty keeping Zipp in place, Sunny quickly went into her alicorn form and assisted her unicorn friend in preventing the Pegasus's escape. Zipp, please! Don't run away again! I have to! Zipp said as she started to cry. I can't control myself! I attacked my sister, and I'll do it again if I stay here! I can't be near you! You're better off without me! Equestria is better off without me! Hearing Zipp's cries of despair and self-loathing made Pip, Sunny, and Izzy recall when Zipp trapped herself in the cave. Once again, they were shouting at Zipp, and their raised voices were just making the Pegasus princess feel worse about herself. Holding her in place against her will wasn't helping, but they had no choice in that regard. They needed to be gentler if they wanted Zipp to listen to them, and since she was the only one not focusing her magic on keeping the Pegasus from escaping, Pip was the only one who this task fell upon. Wiping her nose to make sure the blood was off, she flew over to her sister and landed in front of her. Zipp! She said gently. No! Stay away from me, Pip! Zipp shouted fearfully. I'll just attack you again! You didn't attack me! Pip replied as she grabbed her sister's forehoofs and held them, making Zipp stop in her flailing. It was all an accident. You were having a nightmare, and when I got close to you, you hit me with your hoofs. You see? That's why I can't be near you anymore. I'll just end up hurting you. Zipp tried to reason with her little sister. Every pony has nightmares, Zipp, Sunny told her, now able to concentrate more since the Pegasus wasn't struggling anymore. And we can't control what happens in them, or what we do while we're having them. And I definitely know every pony has accidents time and time again, Izzy said before quickly adding, I mean, accidents as in like mistakes, not, you know, she said with a small blush. Yeah, this isn't the right time for your shenanigans, Izzy. You can't be cracking jokes. But... Zipp, it's okay. I'm okay, Pip assured her sister, and she now pulled her into a hug. Okay, I really need to do this as well. Oh my god, I love my baby girl. Being in Pip's embrace seemed to work in calming Zipp down to the point Sunny and Izzy could cancel their magic and not worry about her running off. Seeing their assumption was correct, they walked over to the sisters and joined in the hug. Hug pile! They stayed like that for a few more minutes before the four of them went back into the bright house. Closing the doors behind them, Sunny saw that Zipp had broken off from the group and went over to the couch in the living room instead of upstairs and laid down on it. Zipp? She asked in confusion. I would rather sleep down here, if that's okay with you. Pip looked like she was about to either object or join her sister, but Izzy held a hoof out and stopped her. We understand, Zipperdoodle, she assured her Pegasus friend as she levitated a blanket over to her that covered the princess's body. Oh, how generous of you, Izzy. Oh, lovely, Izzy. Just don't be afraid to call for one of us if you need anything. Thanks, Iz, Zipp said as she pulled the blanket over herself. Seeing Zipp getting herself comfortable, the other three mares went back upstairs to the bedroom. When they arrived, Pip looked over at Izzy. She was about to say something to the unicorn, but Izzy already knew what it was going to be based on Pip's annoyed expression. She's still coming to terms with everything that's happened, especially the thoughts of harming you. It's best not to overwhelm her right now and give her some space, she explained herself to Pip. Izzy's right, Sunny nodded in agreement. We all knew going into this that it would take more than one heart-to-heart before Zipp started to improve. We just need to be patient and give her time to collect her thoughts rationally. So what? You expect me to just go back to sleep after all that? Pip asked. What if she has another nightmare and runs away again? We might not be able to find her this time. The thought made her worries increase tenfold as she slightly started to panic. Sunny and Izzy each went over to Pip and placed a hoof on her shoulders. No, Sunny assured her. We will each take turns watching over her, and I'll let Hitch know first thing in the morning so he can help too. I wonder how he could help, but hopefully Zipp won't do some thoughts to him. Hearing this made Pip's worries decrease, but only slightly. Okay, she shakenly agreed. Seeing Pip still distressed, Izzy increased her hug and nuzzled against the pink Pegasus. Don't worry, Pip. Like Elderflower used to tell me, it's always darkest before the dawn. In this case, the dawn will be Pip's full recovery. But how long will it remain dark? Pip asked. Izzy didn't have an answer for that, but Sunny did. It doesn't matter, because we will be with her for every step of the way. Hoof to heart. Hoof to heart, Pip and Izzy repeated. Having come up with a plan going forward, the three mares went back to their beds, with Sunny saying she'll take the first watch. Despite this, Pip still couldn't find it in herself to relax and fall back asleep. She was still too worried about what might happen if she dozed off for even a second. Downstairs, her sister was having the exact same problem, even with some more space between her and Pip. Was it enough distance? They said that it was only an accident that she hurt Pip this time, but what about the next time? What if she blacked out and really lost control of herself and actually succeeded and killed her? Oh god. Is this foreshadowing for the future of this fanfiction? Because if it is, then I hate the author so much for even contemplating the idea of murdering one of the main. Oh my god, I don't even want to think about it. The worrisome thoughts kept both sisters from getting any sleep for the remainder of the night. In fact, no pony was going to be getting as much rest at all come morning, when the light returned and offered some form of comfort from the darkness. Chapter 2: Sisters Forever. There was nothing that Pip valued more than her family. While the exact definition can be debated from pony to pony, Pip knew exactly who the ponies she called family were, and none of them meant more to her than her sister Pip. When they were fillies, they were the definition of opposites attract. They would do everything together, despite their different interests, and whenever one of them was feeling down, the other would be there to pick them back up. So seeing how her sister was now broke Pip's heart. That was actually the first part of the problem. She rarely even saw Pip nowadays. The older Pegasus sister kept maximum possible distance from Pip, pretty much refusing to share the same room with her out of fear of attacking her again, despite what the rest of her friends kept telling her about it being an accident. Yeah, if I had to be honest, I would be on the same side as Zipp really, because if Zipp did that to Pip in her sleep, then who knows what would happen if she was actually awake. If Pip wanted to so much as catch a glimpse of Zipp for more than a few seconds, it would have to have been while watching her big sister while she slept and made sure she didn't have any nightmares. Oh, that's just so reassuring of Pip. At least she's keeping her eye on Zipp even though she's younger than her. If she did, then Pip would have to get Sunny or Izzy to wake Zipp up while she stayed out of sight, so her sister wouldn't freak out at the sight of her and assume the worst again. And what little Pip did see worried her immensely. Actually, it worried all of Zipp's friends. Zipp was starting to look worse instead of better. Oh god, does Zipp have like huge bags under her eyes or something? She's not getting any sleep, I bet. She was rarely eating, barely groomed herself. Oh, does that mean that this magnificent mane has been like drooping throughout time? Oh, that's a shame. Only slept for about an hour at the most. Gosh! Zipp, you really need to sleep! And had lost quite a few pounds. This was especially worrisome, as Zipp's feathers wouldn't grow back if her body wasn't healthy. If there was any comfort for Pip, it was that Zipp was at the very least didn't avoid her friends like she did for her. They could sit by her and talk with the white Pegasus, but they weren't getting as much back in terms of the conversation. Sunny had tried to set up an appointment with a therapist known as Dr. What kind of a name is that? Just a second, how do you say that name? Vuiminifu? Wait, again?
Vuiminifu.
That sounds straight ripped out of like a Chinese name dictionary. Okay, well, let's go with it. Sunny had tried to set up an appointment with a therapist known as Dr. Vuiminifu, who helped her when her father passed. Ooh, that's some good history there. I love the headcanon there that actually their father is dead. But Zipp's lack of opening up was no doubt going to make the sessions go nowhere. No pony really knew what to do going forward regarding Zipp's recovery, and it was making them all worry. Zipp didn't have the luxury of worrying all the time. She was an influencer slash pop star slash main stylist slash product designer, and she had an appearance to maintain. In actuality, all of her work was actually something she welcomed with open hooves, more so than usual. It distracted her and allowed her to think of other things than her sister. So Pip kept on doing more and more activities to distract herself while her friends handled Zipp. Yeah, I don't really blame her at all. It's like turning to the bottle to distract yourself from the real problems. But imagine if Pip actually went into alcoholism. Fuck me. It seemed to be working quite well. However, there was one detail that Pip either overlooked or chose to ignore. When she overworks herself, she gets sick. And the more she overworks, the sicker she becomes. Oh no, is this going to turn into a little horse now or a day in the life? I'm very sorry, Zipp. I sneezed into there. But I didn't actually sneeze, don't worry. Pip sneezed into her tissue with so much force that it fell out of her hooves and right onto Sunny's face. Ew, that's disgusting. Sorry, Sunny. She apologized before resting her head back on the pillow. It's okay, Pip. Sunny assured her friend as she removed the tissues from her face, boogers and all. Ow! She said in disgust as she threw it into the trash. Just a minor price for taking care of a sick friend. And believe me when I say it's very much appreciated, Pip said before coughing a fit. Oh no! Are you about to lose your lunch? That's one way of saying, are you going to be sick, Pip? Izzy somehow has manners here. Izzy worryingly asked as she levitated over a bucket. Because I don't want you to lose that tea I've made you. No, Izzy, it was just coughing this time. Pip eased the unicorn's concerns as Hitch brought her a bowl of soup. Finally, Hitch is making an appearance. I've missed my boy. Thank you, Hitch, she said before taking a sip. No problem, Hitch replied before asking, is there anything else that we can get you? Pip put down the bowl and laid her head back down. You could put me out of my misery, she groaned in pain. Anything within reason? Hitch asked again. Pip thought for a second and then just rolled onto her side, facing away from her friends. I think I just need a rest, she told them as she picked up her phone to stream something. No, you shouldn't be streaming on your phone! You should do what Zipp told you to do, like she took her phone away and you tried to get it back. No phone for you. Okay, Hitch nodded. We'll give you your privacy so you can sleep. But remember, no work! I know! Pip repeated what she had been told over 20 times that day. Trust me, every pony. I feel so crummy right now that I can't do anything no matter how much I tried. I was going to say, cool if you need anything, but that also works, Hitch replied as he, Sunny and Izzy went back downstairs, though not before Sunny shot one last concerned look at the sick Pegasus. In the living room, Zipp simply laid on the couch, presumably attempting to take a nap, but her nagging thoughts and pounding heart were preventing the Pegasus from being able to relax herself. Her ears twitched when she heard the hoofsteps of her friends coming down the stairs. Opening her eyes, she saw them as they reached the floor level. She was going to ask them how Pip was, but stopped herself. The less she knew about how weak her sister was right now, the better. That was the whole reason she refused to go upstairs at all. Zipp knew that seeing Pip in such a vulnerable state was too great a risk. Yeah, like the dream said, seeing Pip in a weak state, Zipp could take advantage of that. She already tried to kill her once, and she vowed she'd never do it again. It wasn't easy avoiding her sister, but if it kept Pip safe, then she welcomed the pain. Oh my god, this is just so relatable right now to like so many people going through this kind of torture and like mental state stuff. The author did a very good job of like depicting all of this within this story. Unfortunately for Zipp, her plan hit a snag when her friends walked over to her. Hey Zipp, Hitch said awkwardly. So, Pip's doing fine, he told her. I mean, once you get past the sneezing and the coughing and the throwing up, then yeah, she's doing great, Izzy interjected before chuckling nervously at the annoyed looks Hitch and Sunny sent. Oh god, Izzy is a natural of comedy in this story. That's good to hear, Zipp muttered. The three friends looked at each other with concerned looks. They knew that the nightmare from a week ago was scaring Zipp into keeping herself away from her sister. They had hoped that the issue might have resolved itself by now, but that wasn't the case, and it definitely wasn't going to become the case until they stepped in. Zipp clearly needed her sister just as much as Pip needed her. Sunny shared a look with Izzy and Hitch that told them she would try and make the effort. Well, I guess I better get back to the station to check on Sparky. Yeah, don't let Sparky near anywhere, Zipp. Who knows what she would do to him? Hitch said as he left to check on his dragon son. And I should get started on more soup for Pip, Izzy said as she left for the kitchen, leaving Sunny and Zipp alone in the living room. Now that she was alone with Zipp, Sunny thought very carefully about what she would say to her friend. While she was trying to push Zipp into taking action, she also didn't want to force her hoof. The Pegasus princess clearly was afraid of herself at that moment, and somehow Sunny had to convince her to confront that fear in a possibly extreme way that could easily backfire and send them all back to step one. But Sunny wasn't a pony to give up just because the odds were stacked against her, especially when it was related to her friends. She sat down next to Zipp and told her, "You know, there is one medicine that we've been trying to get Pip that we haven't been able to acquire." Zipp already knew what she was talking about. "I'm not going up there," she told her firmly. Oh god. Yeah, Sunny's trying her best here, but Zipp, she's just not really wanting to like unrestrain herself. "But Zipp, she's your sister." "The sister I nearly killed!" Zipp lifted her head off the couch and yelled at Sunny. "Or did you just so happen to forget that little detail?" she asked rhetorically with a glare at the elf pony. Sunny winced at Zipp's tone. Truth be told, she did kind of forget that Zipp did openly admit to nearly strangling Pip to death when they found her in that cave. "Zipp, had I not realized what I was doing a second too late, Pip would be dead and I'd probably be preparing to go after my mum next. And now I'm getting dreams where I'm killing them both more graphically than strangulation. So you tell me, why should I go and see my sister when she's too weak to even move?" Sunny said nothing as she placed a hoof on Zipp's shoulder. She knew what she was going to say, but she wasn't proud of it. "Forgive me," she said silently before saying what she needed to say. "Zipp, I know you think that you're keeping yourself away from Pip, that you're protecting her from whatever harm you see yourself doing. But the truth is, you're doing the exact opposite by avoiding her like this." Zipp looked confused and surprised at what Sunny told her. "What? You know why Pip is so sick?" Sunny asked her with a serious look on her face. "Because she overworked herself again," Zipp answered. "Yes, and you know why she's been overworking herself?" Sunny asked her, but this time didn't wait for Zipp to answer before saying, "Because she was looking for anything possible to distract herself so she wouldn't be constantly thinking about you. I know because..." She paused as the unpleasant memories played in her mind. "I was the same when my father died." "Oh, you fucking had to bring that up, didn't you?" she said with a choked sob. The orange earth pony quickly wiped her eyes before continuing. "I would do anything possible so I wouldn't think about my dad and the circumstances surrounding his death. But that did nothing to help me and only ended up hurting me, both figuratively and literally. And now Pip is in the same situation I was. She's hurting because of you." Zipp was taken aback by this and shook her head in defiance. "No, I'm not hurting her, I'm protecting her!" She tried to say otherwise, but her tone was indicating she was starting to believe Sunny. "Yeah, the egg is starting to crack." Sunny slowly shook her head. "I'm sorry, Zipp, but that's not true. How can you protect Pip if your plan is to not even be a part of her life anymore? You're not just hurting her, you're hurting all of us." She took Zipp's hoofs in her own. "We want you to get better, Zipp. We all hate seeing you like this, but you can't get better if you don't want to and not put in the effort to better yourself. So I have to ask you this. Do you want to recover from all of this?" Having said all she needed to say, Sunny left to go help Izzy in the kitchen, leaving Zipp alone to think about everything Sunny said. Despite all of her best efforts, Pip just would not fall asleep. No matter what she tried, which was not much given her lack of energy, she just couldn't get comfortable. So she just decided to lay in bed and stare at the ceiling. She heard hoofsteps approaching her bed, but didn't look to see who it was. She just assumed it was some pony bringing her more soup. "Just leave it on the table," she told them. Their response surprised her as they actually got into bed with her and wrapped her hoofs around her, pulling her into a hug and using their chest as a pillow for their Pegasus. Woo! Yes, Zipp, that's my girl. You get into that bed and just give Pip a hug. You don't want to do any ship stuff. Stop it. This is completely different, okay? Before Pip could ask who it was, she felt a pair of wings embrace her, telling her exactly the identity of the pony who was hugging her. Well, you know, it could have been Sunny's wings if she's in her alicorn form. You know, Pip, don't get it confused. Zipp, she said quietly and a bit hopefully as she looked to see her sister's gently smiling face. Hey, Pip. Zipp spoke to her sister for the first time in a week. Comfy? She asked. Her response was Pip nuzzling into her sister's coat like a cat would. This adorable gesture made Zipp chuckle, and she rubbed Pip's mane with her hoof, earning giggles from her younger sister. Much more now that you're here, Pip replied verbally. Despite the heartfelt answer, Pip could help but frown. I'm sorry, Pip. I still haven't really been a good big sister, have I? Shocked at what her sister said, Pip lifted her head and looked at Zipp with a pained expression. What? No! She shook her head in defiance. Zipp, you're the best sister any pony could ask for, she told her. You don't have to lie to me, Pip. I know that you've been missing me, Zipp responded. I've been so worried about what I would do to you if I got close that I didn't think about what being far away from you might result in. The older Pegasus stopped briefly to sniff as she felt tears forming in her eyes. You shouldn't. I can't bear this anymore. This is really genuinely paining me right now. I really want to hug you, Zipp. You shouldn't have to jump through hoops to get me to notice you, Pip. I should have just... Zipp! Stop, Pip said firmly as she placed a hoof over her sister's mouth. I don't think that's the appropriate response, Pip. Look, I was the one being nerdy and constantly trying to distract myself because I couldn't give my sister some space. You're not needy for wanting to be able to have a basic conversation with me, Pip, Zipp said once Pip removed her hoof. You should be able to talk to me whenever you want about whatever. I know, it's just... Pip paused as she thought if she could continue. Pip already felt horrible with herself as it was. Did she really need more guilt thrown onto her by her younger sister? Zipp noticed something was bothering Pip and tightened her embrace. There's something else, isn't there? She assumed. Pip, you can tell me what's wrong. I promise I won't get upset if it's about me. Pip sniffled before burying her face into Zipp's coat. I don't want to lose you again. That's how I would react. You know how Mum would say that as fillies when we were attached at the wings? She felt her sister nod against her head and continued. As we grew up, we drifted apart and soon we barely spoke to each other. It wasn't until we returned magic and moved here that I realized how much I had missed the days when we were together. I felt like we were finally coming together, maybe even more so than fillies. She paused as she hiccuped through her tears. I just don't want that to end. I don't want to be a stranger to my sister anymore, just as much as I don't want to be a stranger to me. Hearing Pip's confession broke Zipp's heart, realizing Sunny was right. She had been so focused in feeling sorry for herself that she didn't think about how much her friends were worried for her, how afraid they were for her. She knew that if things continued as they were, they'd all continue to remain miserable. She promised her friends she'd improve in that cave. It was time to start fulfilling that promise. Pip, look at me. The younger sister complied and removed her head from Zipp's chest and looked up at her with tear-strained eyes. I promise that I will never leave you alone again, that I will always be there for you to lean on. You mean that? Hoof to heart! Yes! Fuck off, Zipp! I'm in so much satisfaction. This is euphoric. I love it. Hearing that promise gave Pip some much-needed reassurance and comfort. She rested her head back on Zipp's chest and smiled. So, what were you watching before I came up here? Zipp asked. Oh, just some you videos, Pip said with a yawn. You can pick the show first this time. I hear a certain show you like has dropped some new episodes. She sang playfully before giggling at Zipp's excited face. Oh, I wonder what Zipp's favourite show would be. Thriller or a drama? None of that romantic crap. Seriously? Man, it feels like only yesterday since chapter 4 dropped. Is that a subtle fourth wall break to make your mark, author? Were you being cheeky with that? Zipp said as she grabbed her sister's phone and opened up the proper streaming service. I still don't understand how you're so obsessed with a show that's nothing but big lizards smacking each other around. Oh yeah, that would be something that Zipp would enjoy watching, Pip said teasingly. I believe you answered that yourself when I questioned what's the deal with your favorite shows. Spoken like an uncultured mind, were your exact words. Zipp joked back before tickling Pip's stomach with her wings. Zipp, you ass! Not while I'm sick! Pip laughed as she tried and failed to keep the wings at bay. I'm waiting, Pip, Zipp said expectantly. Come on! Can't you just give me a break while I'm feeling ill? Pip pretended to consider Pip's request before giving her predetermined answer. Nope, she said as she now got her hoofs involved to make up for her shortened wings. But at least there isn't any blades on the end of that hoof. Yeah, get that from the start. Oh, well, I'm thankful it's just hoofs though. Okay, I'll say it! Pip surrendered. Zipp stopped her tickling, but still held her sister firmly to make sure she didn't try and escape. I'm your pretty pink petite pony princess pillow. Pip Petals! Trademark, she said with a groan. You know, I was thinking of some other P words that could be added. Perhaps plushy? Or puffy? Or maybe plumpy? Zipp laughed as Pip gently punched her in annoyance. Despite her sister's annoying shenanigans, Pip couldn't help but smile. Oh, how I've missed this, she said as she gave another yawn. Aw, don't fall asleep yet. We haven't even got through one episode yet, Zipp playfully complained. You're not the one who's sick, Zipp. Besides, you're the one who's always pestering me to rest. And when you wake up, I will still be right here, Pip assured her sister. I know, Pip said as she felt her eyes getting heavy as sleep finally overtook her. 2 days later, and Pip was back to her regular self. However, instead of live streaming to all of her fans now that she had the energy again, the Pink Pegasus was instead using this time to be with her sister. Ah, so sweet. Zipp has finally mustered up the strength to leave the Bright House and go and meet with the therapist Sunny suggested. Knowing she'd need the support, Pip decided to accompany her. The two sisters were now sitting in the lounge of the office, waiting for their turn when the door to Dr. Oh, for God's sake, I've forgotten the name again. How do you pronounce it? Okay, good, that's solid. Waiting for their turn when the door to Dr. Ueminifu's office opened up and a brown earth pony mare stepped out. Zipp Storm! She called out for her next patient. Hearing her name, Zipp hopped out of her seat and walked over to the waiting therapist. That's me, she said with a weak smile. Nice to finally meet you, Zipp, Ueminifu said as she shook the Pegasus's hoof. Now, why don't you step inside and tell me what's on your mind? She requested as she moved out of the way and allowed Zipp to enter the room. Just as she was about to close the door, Pip stopped her. Can I please come in? She's my sister, she asked the therapist. I'm very strict when it comes to doctor-patient confidentiality, unless Zipp says herself that she can come in, Zipp said. I'd honestly feel better if she was in here with me. Dr. Ueminifu looked back at the white Pegasus and smiled. If that is what you want, dear, she said before allowing Pip to enter the room and join them before closing the door behind herself. Now then, Zipp, tell me, what has been troubling you? She asked as she sat on a large chair while the sisters sat on a couch. Zipp looked down, hesitating to reveal such details to a stranger, even if Sunny vouched for her. She felt her hoof place itself on her own and looked up to see Pip's comforting face. It's okay, Zipp. I'm here, she assured her big sister. Seeing her little sister smile made Zipp smile herself. Truly, there was no pony that she could rely on more than her sister, the most important pony in her life. Another Oh, yes! That was such a fantastic couple of chapters there. And I have to leave it on that note because I want to end this video positively and not on a really, really dark note. Because, oh my god, this chapter was such a good one. I love it! Once again, Flame Warrior 02, you did an absolutely brilliant job on this fanfiction. And I'm really, really enjoying it so much. This is such a perfect cliffhanger. The stuff that was going on with Pip and Zipp, their sister struggling, the nightmare, and the other stuff that was going on with the friends as well. Sunny assuring Zipp, Izzy's machinations with her comedy every once in a while. That was just ridiculous, but I like it. But I tell you what, there needs to be more Hitch in this story because he hardly made an appearance, but I loved his cameo nonetheless, and the ending as well with Zipp finally mustering up the courage to go into the therapist's office. Such a brilliant conclusion. Although I do have the sneaking suspicion that all of this is going to go wrong again in the future, so I am kind of fearing the worst here, but let's just focus on the positives now before it all possibly goes downhill once again. And I personally look forward to the future of reading more of this fanfiction, so keep up the good work. So, FLUFFBUTTS, don't forget to smash that like button down below and comment your thoughts as well on what you thought of the first 2 chapters of this new fanfiction, and subscribe to my channel for more reactions like this and many more content coming soon. And also, don't forget to leave a pledge on my Patreon page down in the description below so you can help support me in making these fantastic videos more consistently. And I shall see you all very soon. Goodbye! And just before this video ends, I want to give a huge thank you to all my patrons on my Patreon. My Silver FLUFFBUTT patrons, Sabrina Wade and Alex Smith, and all my Gold FLUFFBUTT patrons, Jack Leichter, Drew Lazinski, Clear Heart Apple, Owen Wildish, Jonathan Chapper, Darthsiler22, and KikiBat VA. All of your love and support is greatly appreciated. Thank you.